Hello everyone, welcome to Astroneer. This is a survival based game where you're in space, you land on a planet and you have to gather materials and survive. It's still quite early in game, it's pre-alpha. It's quite a clever little game, quite pretty, quite a unique sort of art style to it. I believe some of the guys who worked on it are ex-Ubisoft, Valve, stuff like that, so they've got a certain amount of experience with sort of AAA stuff, and this is a more independent studio game. I've had a quick play around on it just to get an idea of how things work. So I think you initially just choose your spaceman. There doesn't seem to be any difference in their capabilities. I think it is just a cosmetic thing, so you can choose their sort of body shape and colour of their spacesuit. So we'll choose this orange guy and we'll hit launch, and we'll get shot off and land on the planet. Now you don't have any control over it at this stage. You can move the mouse to see around yourself, but that's about it. So it randomly drops you onto a planet. All the planets do have materials on, so you're not going to end up being completely stranded, but they have slightly different aesthetics to them. So we've landed in this little clearing. This stuff you can see here in the distance is various different types of materials, as well as there are underground caves and things as well. So we hit tab to jump out. Now as you can see, we've got this little blue lifeline, so if we go a certain distance away we stop having a lifeline connection to the pod. We're then running on local power. As you can see on the backpack here, the orange yellow is the power bar, and the blue across the top is the oxygen, so you can see the oxygen's gradually going down. You've got E, which brings your little gun up here, which is a terrain tool, so you can dig holes, and you can hold Alt and it will actually raise the land up as well. You also use it for gathering resources, so we will start off over here by going, some of this is resin, which is one of the various materials. So we just left click and it will scoop it up, and you'll see it appearing on the back of the gun. Once it has enough, it goes into your backpack. You hit Q to see your backpack, and you've got 1 unit of resin. So various different materials used for various different things, as with most of these gathering, crafting sort of survival games. As I understand it at the moment, there isn't actually any end game, as it were, to this, because it's still very early in development, so it is pretty much a survive for as long as you want, explore as much as you want, then when you get bored you can go somewhere else. Right, so let's go over here. Now this little red circle on the front here, you'll notice it follows me as I walk around. This is like the little expansion sort of node, so if I click on it, it comes out to me. So you can expand it obviously in various different directions. So it wants 1 piece of resin, so I'll take a piece of resin out of the backpack, drop it on there. It's then going to extend into a little structure, which then gives me another little extension. So you can either use that as a separate little island, or you can build more onto it. So we'll build another one here, drop this resin on here. We need to go and get some more. So you have to be a little bit careful, because if you dig too deep you do end up falling into caves and things underneath, so you do take fall damage if you dig yourself too deep. You can build yourself back out of things if you need to, but once you're underground you obviously have lost your connection to oxygen and power, so you have to be quite careful. The power does regen itself, but very, very, very slowly, but you can put an add-on onto your backpack to put a solar panel or a wind generator on it. The wind generators seem to work better underground, because obviously there's no solar power down there. So we'll put 2 resin on here. It then gives you the option to build one of various structures. Now the ones you start off with are research. You'll find various objects hidden around on the landscape that you can research to give you more technologies. A printer, 3D printer, that allows you to manufacture certain items that can then be used to build other things. A smelter, so that's used to refine aluminium and copper and things like that. A vehicle bay, so you can build yourself rovers and spaceships and things, so you can go exploring further away. And then back to research again. So probably the most important things initially are going to be the smelter, because you obviously need the materials to build other things. Obviously you can't build a printer until you've got a smelter, because you need copper. Same with the vehicle base. So the two things initially are the smelter and the printer, because then you can build later things. So for now we just need 2 units of compound, which will be around here somewhere. I think that may be some up there on the horizon. There also looks like some sort of a crashed spaceship over there as well. What else have we got around us here? Those little balls, triangles things are some sort of a pod. Now, here's some compound. So we'll go and grab some of this compound. Now what you can do with compound is one of the main building blocks, so it's one of these things that you can never really have too much of because you'll always use it. And one of the very important early game things, especially before you have a rover to survive with, is you can build tethers, which are sort of lifelines that go back to your pod and allow you to walk further afield. So you craft them. Oh dear, I've fallen in a hole. Get out of the hole, you idiot. Yeah, you craft them in your backpack. So if we head back towards our base, which is over here, before we run out of oxygen. Okay, so down the bottom here is the crafting area. You can do tethers, solar panel, beacon, more tethers. So we'll click here and it will make us some tethers. So we now have these little fence posts, as you can see. So we'll keep them on our backpack. You press T to deploy them, and you can see the line there. They can be a certain distance, and that then has extended your lifeline. So if you're walking a long way, you can just keep putting these down. And because compound is quite an abundant material, it's not massively wasteful using these, and they're very useful for exploring underground caves. And can help you guide your way back if you get lost in the caves as well, because that's the other thing you have to be very careful of in this game, is getting lost, because once you disappear into the darkness, it's very and you have various aggressive fauna, you could say. Oh, there we go, see the top of that's been, so we've got 1 unit of copper and 1 unit of organic. Now I believe all that organic's used for at the moment is you can get a generator that uses organic compounds to run itself. So we'll go back here and get some more compound because, as I say, it's a very useful thing to have. So we'll gather up a big pile of that. So what you can do is you can hold down Alt and that will build the ground back up. So you can build sort of bridges and things like that with that. Now we're running short on power here, even though we're still connected to the habitat. The lifeline doesn't provide enough power to constantly run your terrain tool, so you have to sort of feather it on and off, or make your own solar panel, which is what I will do in a second. So we'll go in here, swap this over to solar, build one of these. So we've now got a solar panel on here. Obviously there's no sun up at the moment, so it's not much use to us, but when the sun does come up it will help keep our internal power charged up. Now I don't think there's any more compound here, not by the looks of it, so we'll go back here and use the compound to build our smelter. You can store things on these side modules as well, and it will automatically add them. So if you change recipes, it will put them away and bring them back again. So that's quite a good way to store some things. So we have a smelter now. So it doesn't have any power. What I will do for now is put my solar on there, and then once the sun comes out, that will then charge up. These little black bars on the front here is power. They'll fill up with yellow as power goes through. So we need more compound. This is the other thing over here. This yellow stuff here is power. So if you get yourself stuck and you desperately need power, you scoop some of this up and you now have some power in your backpack, as it were. So what we can do is we can go over here and you can attach this power module to the front here, and you can see it's charging up the batteries. So it uses that to refine things. So we've already got some where's our tethers? Over here. We'll go back down our line of tethers here and extend ourselves a bit further and see what we can find. There tends to be, there's no level on this as far as easy, medium or hard or anything like that, so the materials seem to be relatively abundant from what I've seen. Now what we're looking for is, there may be a cave over here. Oh, that one's not close enough. There we go. Oh, doesn't like that being on the rock. Now that sort of tower you can see over on the, over there. Now that's oxygen, so again that's useful if you get yourself stuck somewhere. It's quite useful to have that because it means you can just gather up and carry packets of oxygen with you, which again is good if you're going exploring somewhere. It means you can travel a bit further, but you've always got to make sure you've got enough to go home. Yep, so it looks like we've got a little underground cave here. So you do get some slightly funny layouts of things because, as I understand it, the world is procedurally generated, so it will conform to certain rules, but other bits will look a bit strange. So this oxygen thing seems to be just floating, which is a bit strange, but it's just the way these things are. Right, so we'll gather up the oxygen from it. Now, when it comes from these things, it does actually respawn. The stuff you just pick up off the ground doesn't respawn, but these things it does. So we got ourselves 2 things of oxygen here, so that means we can survive a bit longer. Oh, I think we've got a storm coming in. I don't know if you can hear the wind blowing, and it's got a lot. Everything's blowing around. It's having trouble walking, so we're actually in the safest place at the moment. So the 2 places where you tend to be relatively safe from storms are underground. So worst case scenario, you can do the same thing that you can do for your first night in Minecraft, where you dig yourself a hole and just sit in your hole. Or the alternative is you go back and sit in your spaceship, or later on you can sit in anything that has a cockpit, so a rover or something like that. So we're going down here. Now you have to be careful because some of these are quite large drops into them. So that over there is some copper with some oxygen behind it. There's some power on the wall, and there's some copper below us as well. So this is a relatively decent cave to explore. There's more oxygen here if we need it, but I'll leave it for now because that won't actually respawn. And what we need to do is build ourselves a little ramp to get down this hill, and also to be able to let ourselves get out again when we're done. So that's done, and we want our tethers to follow us. Now the tethers are strange, they do actually clip through things, so you can actually make the tethers sort of shortcut. So that tether is coming through solid rock, it seems, down to here. What have we got down here? So there's no actual creatures in this game, or none that I've seen so far anyway, so you've not got any aggressive mobs to worry about, but there is some aggressive plants that will give off either poisonous gases or sometimes stab you. So this thing here is not actually aggressive, I don't think, if you go close to it, but if you dig it up it is aggressive. This thing here is one of the objects you can research. It seems to be growing on this weird underground plant, so you can't put it in your backpack, you have to carry it or put it on a rover. So for now I'm just going to stack it over here so we remember to take it with us when we go. So this will be our first piece of research we can do once we've built our research lab, which we will need some of this copper for. So we'll get ourselves, fill our backpack up. From what I've seen, there is no way to get a larger backpack, but you can store things onto rovers. So once you've built rovers you can put things in them, and you can join multiple rovers together like sort of wagon train. So that can be quite good fun, but it does sometimes make it a bit tricky to drive when you're towing 3 or 4 trailers behind you. So let's have a look. Oh, there's more under here. See, what you sometimes have to do is dig up where you're going to walk, and then just you can use the fill tool afterwards to build yourself a floor to walk back over. Even more necessary when you're driving the rover, because the rover's not particularly good at climbing up these sort of holes. So I think we have most of it. Oh no, there's one more bit there. Now it only actually adds up to have a whole stack. So at the moment you've got, what have we got in the backpack? We've got 3 full stacks of copper ore in our backpack, and there's another one on the back of the gun that's nearly complete. So even though there isn't enough copper in this hole, it's worth going and finding some, otherwise the stuff that's there will be wasted. So what we'll do is we'll quickly just fill this in, so we can at least, well, that'll do, we can walk around. There's another plant here, but this one doesn't seem to have anything under it, but I mean on it, but sometimes they have things under them. That one doesn't. So we'll go over here, get a little bit more ore. Oh, there is some, that's some aluminium in the background, so we can grab some of that as well. Now we have to be a bit careful here because we're all disconnected from our lifeline at the moment, so we're going to start running short on oxygen. So we'll see if we can get 2 stacks of oxygen out of there, 2 stacks of aluminium ore out of this laterite. I don't know if that's the actual name for aluminium ore, quite possibly. I've heard it called bauxite before, which is what they get aluminium from, but laterite as well, maybe another name for it. Oh, see, I'm running short on power again. So what I can do is I can pull power off this wall. That will charge my batteries up. And I can also pull... I can also pull oxygen as well. So... that's given us a bit of an oxygen top up, hopefully enough to go... oh, there's more here. Now if you, like what's happened here, my backpack's full, so the oxygen's actually popped outside. You can actually mount things on the sides as well, so that gives you 2 extra location points for things. Right, we'll get the last of this aluminium, then we'll head ourselves back up onto the thing. Now that stuff in the background there, that's hydrazine, which is fuel for rockets. So when you build rockets you can do that as well. So we'll put this on the other side, and we can now head back. We will grab that research object on the way. We can get ourselves back up to the surface and get cracking with that. So climb back up here. And get ourselves back to our base. So yeah, to start off with, this ends up being a bit of a running game. But once you've got rovers and stuff, it's a lot easier to get around. The planets are quite small. You do have a compass, which is when you hover your mouse over yourself, it gives you a direction of where the compass is. That can be a little bit deceptive because you don't actually know your position precisely, so you can end up heading north and you get to the North Pole and then you're stuck because you don't know where you are. So for now we will drop that down there, and we need to so we can refine some aluminium and some copper. Now this uses power, so probably will run out here, and as there's no sun up at the moment it will just stop, but that's alright. What you can do is you can relocate any of these red attachment points. You can attach almost anything, so I can move the solar panel, for example, up to there. I can move the organic thing there. If it contains power, it will get sucked in. So yeah, that's that side of it. So we need more resin, so we can build another nodule off of here. Is that moving? Oh yeah, it's pulsing. That's very strange. Right, so we need more resin at the moment, so we're going to have to go on the hunt for that. So like so many of these resource hunting games, you end up spending a little bit of time to start off with just picking up the basics that you need to survive. What have we got over here? That's hydrazine, and next to that is some compound. So we remember all of these are here. It does give you a update when you're running short on oxygen. Oh, there's another cave here, see? So that's useful again to remember it's here. So it says 50% oxygen. At that point I normally start heading home, because you know you've used half of your supply. And if there isn't any nearby to grab, you will end up just suffocating and dying. Now dying in this game is not not a serious disaster, to be honest with you, because you just respawn back at your base. The only issue is your stuff gets dropped, so you've then got to find your way back to your body, which can be a bit of a pain. So what we'll do is we'll dump some of this stuff here. Oh yeah, you walk slowly when your backpack's open, so if you want to get anywhere quickly to put it away. Right, so we'll put these all here. So once that's got some more power, that we can then carry that on. And for now we'll stick the copper on there. We've got one tether left, I think, so again we could do with finding some more compound. Which way should I'm tempted to go and look at this ship over here, but with only one tether it's not very easy, so we can tether as far as there, and that's it. That didn't even work. There we go. Right, so we'll just have to sprint this way, gather up some materials and then run back. So get some big piles of compound from this. We should get 2 or 3. Oh, run out of juice. So I think I've just run out, but there is some oxygen here. So it does regen power, but very, very slowly, so it's enough that you can survive, because you can suck up oxygen. Even with a flat battery you can still suck it up faster. But there we go. So we've now got enough we can build some tethers. Now you have these beacons show up, and you can manufacture beacons as well, so it's not that much of a worry for getting lost, even though I have got lost. So we can go in here, craft some more tethers. You will make a lot of tethers, but they are they're very useful, they're very worth it. So let's see, we'll go to there. And another one. And just work your way, stepping across the place. Even once you have a rover, having these tethers is useful, because it does give you a little route to show your way home. Oh, there's another ship over there as well. But it would be good if they maybe did an upgraded tether, gave you a longer range or something like that, because you seem to be putting them very often. It's very easy to get sidetracked and start exploring things and forgetting that originally you were out to look for resin or whatever it is you're out for. Now some of these contain research objects, and some of them contain just materials, so you'll find aluminium and stuff like that. Like that there is a research object. Now that one's buried, so it will have to be dug to get it loose, so that can come back to the base with us in a minute. What else do we have around here? Now you do get real sort of gravity effect here, so if you dig something up, well that's a bit too big to dig up I think, but yeah, if you dig up some objects they do fall and stuff like that, so if I dig around this it will drop into the hole. I've not seen anyone get crushed yet, but I'm sure it can happen. So this is another thing here. I think I probably should have built a tether up to this, but what have we got in here? Some aluminium, some copper, some lithium, which is rare, 2 bits of lithium. Oh, there's more stuff down here, so stuff's buried away, you see. Now I've got 25% oxygen left, which means I really need to make a sprint for my tethers, or possibly oh dear, this could go badly. I'm suffocating. Where's my tethers? Where's my tethers? Oh, I think I'm going to die. The edges of the screen are going red.